Hey everyone, Brandon here with GallowayPrecision. Today we're going to go over the installation of our newest trigger for the XDS series of pistols in 940 and 45. And that is the Einar flat face trigger. Alright, Einar in Old Norse meant one who fights alone. So your self-defense, as it is in this day and age, is totally up to you. XDS is a great small single stack pistol, but it never hurts to tweak your carry gun. Alright, so with the flat face, you're getting a much better pull geometry. It forces you to actually get your finger at the lowest possible point, giving the most leverage, much faster shots. We've built up the back of the trigger as an over travel stop, so as soon as the striker falls, the trigger stops, you're ready to go back to work. Alright, so tools you're going to need, we're going to need our bench block. You're going to need a small flathead screwdriver. Remember, you can pick these up most automotive places, Harbor Freight, places like that, a couple bucks. I always like to take one, notch it. All right, makes a nice cheap little spring pusher, which will come in handy for the fire control unit. But even if you don't have a spring pusher, you're still going to need a small flathead screwdriver. 3/32 punch, 2mm punch, brass hammer, and a polymer hammer. Alright, so let's go ahead and lock and clear. When we're visually and physically empty, go ahead and remove your slide. We're going to set the slide off to the side. First thing we're going to do is take and turn our takedown. Now, to save your fingernails and some hassle, just give it that 45-degree angle. Take your small flathead, pop it, it'll pop right out. Set that off to the side. We're going to take our bench block and we're going to flip it over to the flat side, and we're going to start at the front with the trigger pivot pin. Alright, we're going to take it out first. And then we're going to take our locking block pin. And lastly, we'll take out the fire control unit pin. Pardon me. Alright, so now, first thing we'll do is we'll pull out our locking block. Make sure that you just leave your slide lock spring on there. Pull out the slide lock, and we'll pull out the magazine blocking lever. We'll set them off to the side. Now we're ready to pull out the trigger and fire control unit. So go ahead and depress your grip safety and push up on it at the same time. Now you're not going to be able to sit here and hold this thing the whole time while you do the trigger, which kind of sucks because it's a pain in the ass. So just slowly let the grip safety out so the spring stays where it's at. Go ahead and remove your trigger bar from the sear. We're going to take and set our fire control unit off to the side. Take the frame, set it out of the way for a second. Now we're going to set our trigger on here, and obviously you'll still have your trigger blade. We pulled ours out so we could use it to design the blade for the Einar. Take your 2mm. Most of these will press right on out with a little bit of force, downward force like that. If not, just take and tap it out with your hammer. Take your stock trigger, start today's spring. We're not installing springs, they're already installed in this gun. We're doing the trigger. Take your trigger, put it in the bag your trigger came with. Always keep your stock parts. Why do we keep our stock parts? In case you need to send the pistol in for any kind of warranty work. They will not return any pistol, no manufacturer, with the exception of the Ghost Ink bar with Glock, returns any aftermarket parts. The moment you send your gun in, doesn't matter what it's for, they're returning it to stock, and that's how you're getting it back. So you don't want to waste your money, keep your stock parts. Alright, so now we're going to take the Einar. I'm going to go ahead and get the roll pin started, and what I like to do is get it pushed in a little bit, and then you want about maybe that much showing down in the slot, maybe a little less. You just want enough to where, pushed it back too far. You get a slight amount of resistance when you put the trigger bar in, because it gives you an idea of exactly where you're going to center it on. Then go ahead and just shove that thing down, and we're going to make sure it's equidistant on both sides, of course, so that we don't get it in the way of the frame. Alright, so we're done putting the trigger on. Now we can reassemble the pistol. So first things first, grab your fire control unit. Now, most of you by now have picked yours up and are cussing me because this little pin or this little pin have rolled out. More than likely, this pin's going to stay just because that's what the sear spring attaches to and locks it all in place. But this spring has nothing, or correction, this pin has nothing to lock it in place because all that sits on it is the grip safety spring. So if that's fallen out, make sure that you put the grip safety back on with the straight arm going into the cutout of the sear, and then the arm with the about 90-degree hook to it is going to face the grip safety. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our trigger bar back in, get it all locked in place. That keeps the sear from moving so that we can go ahead and set the grip safety spring and grip safety. This alarm right here is going to ride right on the sear. We'll take our little flat head we've cut out there, push that down, close it, pinch it, hold it closed. Reason being, you're going to put this in and the grip safety is not compressed and the spring all the way, it'll pop out, and the exact opposite will work with the gun. You'll press in the grip safety, the trigger won't work. You let go of the grip safety, the trigger will work. And all it has to do between the relationship of this spring and this arm. This arm's got to stay where it's at, because if it's behind the sear, that's where you get the issues. So go ahead start by pushing the trigger into its pocket first, then the fire control unit, holding it in all the way. All right, making sure we're moving correctly. Now go ahead and take your roll pin for the fire control unit, reinstall it. Alright, now we're ready to put the rest of the pistol back together. So take your magazine blocking lever, put it in and on what will be the right side of the frame. Take your slide lock lever, put it in. Now make sure that your slide lock spring's still attached to your fire control unit, and go ahead and line up the slots in the front with the rails on the FC or the locking block. I'll get there eventually. The sudden 30-degree shift in temperatures is affecting my brain today. 76 yesterday, 46 today. I don't like that at all. Alright, go ahead and press your locking block all the way in. Now when you do this and you seat it, make sure that your slide lock spring is sitting on top of the slide lock like so. So we're going to take our locking block pin, drive it in first using our polymer hammer, and take your 3/32 punch, just push it till you hear that click. It's locking into the spring. Alright, so now we're going to take our trigger pivot spring, we're going to get it going. Now first, make sure that you've got your slide lock lined up on it. I like to do that, give it a little push on the block, and then get things moved around. And you may have to move back and forth with the slide lock just to get it to line up correctly. Not a big deal, but definitely don't go beating incessantly. Alright, so we're through the slide lock hole. Now we can go through the trigger itself. Tap it home with your polymer hammer. Take your 3/32 again. Push it till you hear the click. The trigger pivot as well as the locking block, both sides, they can go in either direction. Both sides have a cutout that lock into this spring. That keeps the locking block trigger and everything all in one spot. And take your takedown lever. Notice that you have a cut on that side. That's what you're going to put to the spring first, and then rotate it as you push in. Get it lined up with the other side of the locking block. Once it's in place, you're ready to reassemble. And first function test is going to be, we're going to depress the blade of the safety, but not depress our grip safety. Striker should not fall. If it does, you're going to have to take everything back apart, go back, make sure that your grip safety spring and the grip safety are correctly in the fire control unit. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to squeeze the grip safety, but not the trigger blade, not the safety blade. Pull the trigger, nothing happens. Alright, now we're going to disengage all safeties, grip safety, blade, striker falls, rack the slide while holding the trigger, reset, and fall. and you're good to go, guys. This already has our reduced power spring kit in it, and I believe one of the first increased rate guide rods we ever made is in here. For those of you that are wondering now, because I know I'm going to get a bunch of questions about it, this is an EFK Fire Dragon barrel. They make the barrels for the XDS series in 9, 40, 45 thread. Well, correction, let me stop. I haven't been on there in a while. Last time I looked, they had them for the 9 and the 45. As far as I know, they make them for the 40 as well. And of course, the first Leopold Delta Point, which in my opinion was a much, much better optic. But anyway, now with our Einar installed, we've got a nice flat face, forces us to actually use the trigger correctly by pushing at the best fulcrum point at the bottom. But we also have this over travel stop built into the bottom part of the trigger, so as soon as the striker breaks, trigger stops. You don't have a whole bunch of over travel you're messing with like you do with the stock trigger. So between that and our reduced power spring kit for this thing, makes a huge difference in this fun little pistol. I have a feeling this, now with the Einar installed, this will probably find its way back into the carry rotation. And that's going to be it, guys. Real simple, real straightforward, easy to install trigger. If you got any questions, feel free to email me at tech, that's Tango Echo Charlie Hotel, at GallowayPrecision.com. Be sure to follow us on social media here on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe below. Follow us over on Facebook, Instagram, and Vimeo. And that's going to be it. So as always, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.